Hey, Fearless Beauties. Though today we will be talking about the toxic world of child beauty pageants, there is a little bit of talk about suicide and just kind of the mental effects that child beauty pageants have played. So I just want to give a little disclaimer. If you are feeling suicidal or need somebody to talk to, we've got a suicide helpline here is 1-800-273-8255.
This is Fearless Beauties, a podcast dedicated to developing voices of color in the beauty industry. We are talking to estheticians, skin specialists, and business owners to uncover best skin practices, tactical career tips, and ultimately, how we can create a better beauty industry together. I'm your host, Taylor Phillip.
And I'm your other co-host, Alina Velez. Welcome to the latest episode of the Fearless Beauties podcast.
Welcome to episode 17, season 2, of course, of the Fearless Beauties podcast. I am Taylor, your host, Taylor Budgets.
And I'm Alina Velez, your co-host. We're getting into child beauty pageants, and it's controversial, right? Right, Taylor?
Definitely, as always, the topics that we discuss on this podcast.
And we always try to see both sides of things.
Exactly. So, that's what we're going to dive into today. Child beauty pageants. Wow. Okay. So, for me, I'm just going to say it. I do have a 3-year-old daughter. So, some things were like, ugh, like I wasn't feeling it when I was doing my research. So, I'm going to give you some of that from a mother's point of view. But also, like always, I think we like to see both sides to everything. So,
Right. Well, just to kind of give an idea of what child beauty pageants judging criteria, I know some of them can vary, but just to list a few of things that they're looking for, we got grace, beauty, poise, talent, elegance of speech, personality, and your attire.
okay.
So, I mean, a lot of exterior.
Superficial
Yeah,
criteria.
exactly.
And this is for child beauty pageants.
Right.
Children who have not even come into their self yet, do not even know really who they are.
Or who they want to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
But, they've been a part of American culture since the 1960s. So it's
Exactly.
nothing really new. They were initially launched for age range of 13 to 17-year-olds. And then they expanded, including children as young as just a few months old.
Judging their personality when they honestly don't have one yet,
True.
can barely hold up their head. So, yeah. I mean, I did a little deep dive into the history of beauty pageants, and I found some information. I don't know if it's really interesting, but it kind of gives an idea of how long this has been. In 1855, there was a national contest orchestrated called the National Baby Show, and it attracted about 143 child contestants and over 60,000 viewers. And then there was a thing called baby parades in 1893.
That's kind of creeping me out a little bit. I'm not going to
Baby
lie.
parades. Okay, that is what they called it.
What kind of people are gathering to look at a bunch of dressed up children? Sorry, but some of them are cute. Some of them are dang cute. Okay, I'm not gonna,
Yes.
knock that. But I don't
You
know.
have to watch what you are subjecting your children to. You
Mm-hmm.
have to understand that not only moms and proud dads and aunties and uncles and godmothers and godfathers are watching this, pedophiles are watching this.
Right.
And yeah, that not to get all, deep, but it's the truth. You
Yeah.
have to understand that they're pedophiles for a reason. They While you're sexualizing or over sexualizing your child, they are over sexualizing your child.
Right.
So you're putting them in all this makeup, tan, crop tops, high heels. They're seeing your child as an adult.
Mhm. It's so true. And ultimately, I think it comes down to money, right? These people just want to profit off of your kids, in my
Mhm.
opinion. They're making $5 billion a year off of these children beauty pageants. And then what happens to these kids after they go through this, whether they're successful or not? Even the successful people who are doing this are committing suicide. Just earlier this year, there was a 16-year-old girl who had been competing since she was 3 years old, Kylia Posey. She committed suicide because she had depression and so many mental effects from the pageant standards, I think.
Mhm.
And again, she was a successful one. What's happening with these kids who go through the pageants and then are taught their whole life that, beauty is going to make you successful, and then they grow up and they're not successful, then what?
Mhm. Yeah. And there's also just body shaming, bullying, body dysmorphia.
I was reading that in France right now, they've got their own big pageant, Miss France, right? And it's been around for 101 years. They are being sued by a feminist group. I love when women come together and just fight for what they love and what they're passionate about.
Mhm.
Um, because in France, you you have to be at least 5'5". You can't ever have been married or have children to be a part
Mhm.
of, I mean, that's just the bare minimum, right? And so one of the leaders, she's the head of the feminist activist group, she had posted on social media, quote, "It feeds stereotypes that stand in the way of equality." She says the competition rules are discriminatory against marital status, age, attitudes, and choices of women, and everything is subject to injunctions from another time. I just couldn't agree more.
And aside from being 5'5" or never been married or had children, further disqualifiers for contestants include, listen to this, wearing weaves or hair
Mm-hmm.
extensions. First of all, we just did a podcast on the what is it?
Alopecia?
Alopecia.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, hello
What does
here.
that say? Yep.
Okay. Um Having tattoos and smoking. So, the board of pageantries, whoever they are, they have a standard. They know exactly who they are looking for, what they are looking for. So you can't be an individual.
It's true.
It's like that whole Hitler, blue eyes, blonde hair type of thing. Like you have exactly who you're looking for. First of all, okay, you have your disqualifications, but putting it
Mm-hmm.
out there is just basically telling women of color, transgender,
Women with
all
kids or
right,
a
women with
partner.
kids
Yeah.
that you are not beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and what's really funny to me is that, looking at kind of what's portrayed to us on social media and like in the celebrity realm of things, what they're telling us is beautiful is, Kim Kardashian. Guess what? She's got kids. Her hair is probably not real. I think of like a legend, Marilyn Monroe. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And she smoked. She was
Okay.
smoking cigarettes, and it's just I just think it's so unrealistic. It's this battle between trying to fit in that box of beauty pageant criteria and then the real world. Like nothing lines up. And ultimately, always coming back to being true to you because that's the longevity. That's the real beauty,
Mhm.
is just being true to you. And so that's always my that's always my thing with just beauty standards and what we are told is beautiful is
Yeah.
yeah.
And to go back to what you're saying about money, it has a whole lot to do with money. Okay,
Mhm.
because if these contestants do not match these qualifications, these strict qualifications, you have to pay a fine.
Mhm.
$5,822. Okay?
Yes. Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
one, you don't qualify, you cannot participate, and you gotta pay a fine if you do try to participate and you have kids,
Mhm.
or you're wearing weave, or you have
Right.
tattoos and smoking, or you're not 5'5".
Right. Right.
What about the women who just want to feel good about themselves and want to enter a pageant because it's going to boost their self-esteem, and or they wanted to accomplish it at a young age and couldn't?
What about the moms that are living vicariously through their kids?
Oh, can we talk about that? I'm like, "You need to go to therapy, okay?"
Gosh,
And I'm not saying
gosh.
that as a joke, like, you truly need to go to therapy because there's something missing in your life, and I even wrote
Yeah.
that down in my notes. I was like, "I would love to sit a mother down and talk about her childhood."
Mm.
And 10 times out of 10, you will find something in her childhood that she is trying to satisfy through her child.
It's true. What about the, what about the Honey Boo Boo girl and her mom? I forget her real name. I think it's, like, Elena, actually. I'm always seeing the mom in the news for drug busts and, her
Really?
her crazy marital status, and Honey Boo Boo went viral. I don't know if you remember.
I remember the child who said it, but
Yeah.
I don't know why it was said, or,
I
because
don't either.
I wasn't into toddlers and tiaras. I was not.
Yeah, me either. I just remember seeing her on all these memes and stuff, and she's not a
Right.
kid anymore. She's grown up. I don't know what
Yeah.
she's up to. I hear about her mom more than her, but I bring that up to say, kind of the whole mom dynamic, and
Mhm.
I could almost bet that that was the case in their situation. It just seems real toxic.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's proven. Many psychological experts have found that beauty pageants can lead to a whole host of mental issues, just eating disorders and self esteem and things that carry on through adulthood. And
Mhm.
so that can really destroy a person.
Yeah. And I know before we started the podcast, we were talking a little bit about it, and you said that there should be some type of counseling being held within these pageants. Yeah.
When I was doing research, there are some pageants out there that are more leaning towards intelligence,
Mhm.
but for the ones that are really just skin deep, I think they should require participants to do counseling or some type of kind of therapy to protect them.
I definitely agree. And even doing counseling with your mom, because I was reading an article and a girl said that she loves participating in pageants, but when she was asked if she would do it again, she said, "Well, if my mom wants me to." So
Ooh,
we have to sit the mom and the child down and hash this out. Like, "Mom, why is it so important for your daughter to participate in these pageants? And why does she feel like she's doing it for you?
mm,
What is going on with you? Was there some parental neglect, emotional, physical abuse, not giving compliments? Were you raised to have this role of what a woman should be? Or just were you never self-empowered growing up? Like, what is going on to where your child feels like they're doing this for you and not for them? Like, they have to put all of their goals and dreams aside because they want to see you in the audience clapping and crying and, just proud. Like,
right.
why? Why? Because that
Mhm.
can lead to a whole generational curse of now your children's children, feel like they can't,
Make decisions for themselves.
right, like,
Ultimately.
Yeah, we gotta think about this, like, this is not just some cute pageant. This is serious stuff, and this can have long-lasting effects. Eating disorders, body
Mhm.
dissatisfaction, the need to be perfect, like I mentioned, body dysmorphia, depression, low self-esteem.
There definitely needs to be a conversation, not just once, but there needs to be constant check-ins, I think, with
Mhm.
these kids and adults, and just really, kind of nurturing conversations.
And also, when these children grow up in their 20s and 30s and they spent their lives being judged by strangers, how is that going to reflect in their adulthood? Will they have any type of self-empowerment to where they know who they are, they love who they are, or are they going to constantly seek out.
Approval.
Right, like,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Like, there's
Mhm.
there's this urge to have a stranger declare your child cuter than another person's child. Like,
Yeah.
your children will never see these people most likely ever again in their life, but
As if
mm,
we don't have enough pressure to fit in and be seen in the world,
right?
especially people of color and
Mhm.
LGBTQ and disabled and the list goes on,
Yeah,
you know. I was I was just like, wow, the extent that parents would go, giving their children caffeinated beverages and pixie stick candy that was often referred to as pageant crack.
what? I have never heard of this.
Yep.
So giving them, like, coffee?
Giving them coffee or energy drinks. But yeah, apparently pixie sticks are a staple in
Mm,
pageants to keep their kids going. Okay, here's what that tells me. Likely they're gonna grow up and depend on a stimulant,
right.
right?
A
Because
depressant.
something, because that's what they're kind of being shoved in their face.
Yeah, their body is
Um,
accustomed to it now.
I mean, not that I'm not wishing that on anybody or anything, but when you start bad habits like that at a young age, then you gotta fill a habit with another habit, and it's
Yeah,
like
it's like a
it's
gateway
a
drug.
slippery slope. Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, first it's coffee, and then it's like, "Oh, man, my toleration for the coffee is so high that it doesn't even do what it needs to do anymore, so let's
Mhm.
move on to what, Adderall? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
What
Yeah.
else? What else is next?" And then here comes, like you said, the slippery slope of being dependent on drugs, being suicidal, depressed,
Mhm. Mhm.
committing suicide here, people.
Yeah.
And that's how quick it can happen.
It just breaks my heart too because let the kids be kids. They've got their whole life to put makeup on and do all those things and get their nails done and everything. And honestly, I was the kid that wanted to grow up and be a grown up,
Mhm.
as quick as I
Same.
could. And then you grow up and you're like, dang, I want to be a kid again.
Adulthood is the worst hood I've ever lived in. I don't want to be here, okay? I hate it here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, and just going back to satisfying the needs of your parents, I don't know why this is so heavy on me, but it's like, what if you have those narcissistic parents who, if you decide that you want to be if you decide that as a child who's been in beauty pageants all their lives wants to stand up to your mom and say, "Mom, I no longer want to do pageants. It doesn't fulfill me. I don't like it." And then she go ahead and say, "You're disrespectful, uncommitted, ungrateful, all the things and all the opportunities I have put in front of you." And then you're going to go ahead and quit. This is narcissism, people. This is a defense mechanism being used to make your child feel bad for not wanting to fulfill your dream. What does that say about you as a parent and as a person?
Mhm.
And some parents don't want to open their eyes to the reality that they are living vicariously through their child.
Mhm.
Please do yourself and your child and your children's children and future generations a favor and seek help.
Yeah, I agree. Preach.
You know, going to therapy is like there's a stigma around it, like, "Oh, you're not all the way together." I don't think with this life that we're in, who has it all together, people?
It's
Therapists
true.
don't even have it all together,
Mhm.
okay? Therapists need therapists. So go see a therapist, please, because it's going to help you. Like, I literally just signed up for therapy this week. That's probably why I'm so hype about it.
You go, girl.
Yes, and as a mom to a 3-year-old, I am dying slowly, okay?
Mm,
It is hard out here.
yeah.
Um, and there are some things I could easily put on my daughter that I would want to be fulfilled in me. But I have to look at myself and I have to be like, Taylor, you don't want your child to grow up pleasing you. You want them to grow
Mhm.
up pleasing them.
Right.
So you have to do the work in yourself to be a better person for you. Because if you cannot be a better person for your children if you are not good inside. That is my TED Talk, people.
I love it. That's good
N-
stuff.
no, but it's the truth.
It is the truth.
It's 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 horrible. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, girl. It's a rough world out here, and we're just trying to make it a little better.
So, what do you think about the other side of beauty pageants? I know you mentioned that there are some pageants that focus on like emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence.
I think that kids can walk away with a lot of real life tools, how to public speak,
Mhm.
how to be polite.
Be a community servant.
I think it can be a creative space for kids to, express themselves. And I just feel like the cons definitely outweigh the pros, but
Because people are taking it too far.
we really need to protect our children.
Yeah, I mean, children are beautiful in themselves. Like they have the clear skin, they have
Mhm.
everything we want as adults, like that we're striving to get, like
And
smooth
so
skin,
pure.
perfect. Right. They're just beautiful. And it's like, why can't you acknowledge that? Why can't you celebrate just children being just
Children.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so I was thinking, my daughter yesterday, I was like, "Oh, what do you wanna be when you grow up?" No, she actually asked me what I wanna be when I grow up. She's 3 people.
Oh.
And I was like I had to think about it, and I was like, I gave her an answer, "Oh, I wanna be an influencer. I just wanna help people. I wanna be a world traveler. I wanna travel with you." And I was like, "What do you wanna be when you grow up?" And she said, "Firefighter." And me and my
Oh,
mom literally almost cried tears of joy because 'cause we're like we have never heard her say she wants to be anything because
yeah.
she's 3
Right.
and she's just coming into herself. So when she said firefighter, she said, "Yeah, I wanna be a firefighter." So what did I go ahead
Oh,
and do? I went on Amazon and I purchased her a firefighter costume.
yes.
And I was thinking about that while I was researching today. I was like, what if one of the questions in these child beauty pageants is, "What do you wanna be when you grow up?" And they say firefighter. I remember when I went to my little brother's, what was it, VPK graduation, and they ask all the children, "What do they wanna be when they grow up?" He said a garbage man. And and people were like, "Yay, yay, yay!" Because 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 other kids were like, "I wanna be a doctor, a pediatrician, obstetrician, I
Yeah.
wanna be OBGYN." There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But you have to think about why are these kids saying that? Is it because you have put a standard on them? Like, what is going on? For him to say he wants to be a garbage man, that's just a kid being a kid.
Right.
There's a type of, genuineness and, like, freedom that comes with a child being a child
Mm,
and
it's so
not
true. And it feels like, to connect it to what we're talking about, it feels like they're stripping children of that,
right,
in these pageants. And
exactly,
it doesn't seem fair to me.
exactly. There's no natural there's just no, like I said, freedom that comes with a kid being a kid, and why can't they wear just like regular dresses? And
Mhm.
I don't know why. Like I was looking at an article and it says something about how a child, I think she's in London, she participates in beauty pageants and it's her choice to get a tan every week. She has
Oh,
to get
yeah.
her nails done.
I read this too, yeah.
Right? I'm like, a tan
Bleaches her
every
bleaches
week?
her white blonde hair and
Why right. And
yeah.
how old is she? She's like in elementary school.
13. She's 13.
Oh, she's 13, so middle school.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So
Still,
why?
imagine when she grows up and, like, she's gonna expect to get this done all the time now that she's grown up with it. Well, she's gotta find a job to sustain that. Again, sometimes if you're not successful in one thing, then you might go down a dark path to get what you need or
Because it's all you've ever known.
exactly. Exactly. You gotta support these habits that have been instilled in you that who knows if that young girl would have even she might have taken a completely different route had she been able to think for herself and make her own decisions. And maybe she did choose that route and that's cool too. But sometimes you just gotta wonder like, hmm, if they didn't go through this as a child, I wonder what what route they would have taken.
Yeah. I was just thinking about just basically pageants should be about improving the self-esteem of children and not about
Mhm.
devaluing their individuality. So, we were just talking about how there are some pageants that focus on intelligence and things like that. So, for those parents who want to put their kids in pageants, there are some parents who don't want to have the whole makeup and high heels and whatever else comes with pageants. I've never really watched one, but all that comes with it, they don't want that for their child. So, what can a parent do? Because there are pageants and there's organizations out there that focus on different things.
Mhm.
So, I think we always say that in our podcast, do your research, people.
Mhm. Mhm.
Research the organization, the pageant, like research what are they asking out of the contestants? Are there scholarships involved? Are they giving back
Mhm.
to the community? On their website, is there inclusivity? What is their mission
Mm.
statement?
Yep.
Just these things.
Yep. Protect yourself, protect your kids.
Mhm. And don't like, of course, when your child wants something so bad, you are willing to go above and beyond to get them that. And I was doing a lot of research how these toddlers even have agents. Parents,
Yeah.
you are your child's agent. Parents,
Mhm.
and even if you want your child to have an agent, I'm all about balance. I'm all about seeing both sides. Just make sure there's some, like, stipulations in the contract, like, "No, my daughter is not gonna be doing, like, a 2-month tour of all this crap." I don't
Mhm.
know. Like, I'm
Mhm.
just thinking out loud here, like
Read the fine print.
right. They still need to be in school. They still need to have outside time and have time with their friends and be a kid and mess up, Make mistakes, people. And I'm just all basing these opinions of mine off of what we've researched and, like, the craziness that pageants can be and the pictures that I've seen with fake eyelashes and honestly covering up the child's natural eyebrows to paint
Mhm.
paint eyebrows on.
Right. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And I think too, just a reminder, just checking in on your loved ones
Mhm.
and children, adults, the pretty ones, the funny ones, the quiet ones. I mean, just because somebody is you think is beautiful and you think has it all together doesn't mean that they do, and they could really be hurting inside. So, check on your
Yeah,
people.
and we haven't even acknowledged Chesley Christ or Christ, Chesley
Mm,
Christ, who
yes.
was the 2019 Miss USA pageant winner. And she committed suicide on January 30th of this year by jumping off her 29th floor New York apartment.
How
Yeah.
freaking tragic.
Yeah. It is it is it is
And
it's
if
really sad.
you look at her, she is was just beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, Gosh, I
inside and
just
out, just like she was doing more than just
she was an
pageantry work.
attorney. Yeah, she was a successful
Right!
attorney.
Fighting
She
for
had a
social
lot going
justice.
for her. Yes, she was
Mhm.
doing the dang thing.
And of course, we're not saying that her death was due to, the pageantry world, but I'm sure there is a side of it that she was comparing herself or
Mhm.
felt like she wasn't enough. And you also have to think about cyberbullying and
Mhm.
she was a woman of color.
Yeah.
You don't know what was in her DMs on a daily basis. Winning Miss USA when the standard of beauty still is not what she was. So,
Yeah.
you have to think about
Yeah.
that. It's not just pageantry, it's okay, what happens to you outside of the pageants? Like, when you go home and you win a pageant, cool, all is good. Well, what happens when you go home? You have to think about that as well. So,
Such a good point, Taylor.
thanks.
Yeah.
So, it's just sad to think about because, of course, I did not know anything of Chesley or Chelsea. I didn't know anything about her, but when I found it out, it was all over the media, and I had to read about
Mhm.
it back in January, and I was like, "Man," like you said, check on your happy friends, like, you really need to check on the people who say they're good, and it was hours before when she posted a tweet saying something along the lines of she put a nice picture of herself on Instagram and said, "May this day bring you rest and peace," right before she jumped off the building, so
That's what she needed. She
sh
needed rest and she needed peace, and,
yeah, it's
that
sad.
just breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's really sad, and also for, who we spoke about in the beginning of
Yeah, Kylia.
yeah, she literally was found in her car blocks away from her home, and
Mhm.
she committed suicide in her car. I'm just
Yeah,
like,
and she was a Toddlers and Tiaras star.
yeah.
She had kinda went viral with one of her memes and just beautiful and gosh,
Yeah, and
just
it's crazy. She started when she was 3 in pageants, but I watched a little clip of her in Toddlers and Tiaras. It was her and her older brother playing basketball in the backyard, and her mom was playing with them, and I guess she missed a shot against her brother, and her mom said, I think you should stick to pageants." It's just that little thing, you don't think it affects children, but if sh I'm telling you, if she was alive today and you were to sit her down and talk to her about her childhood trauma, and if she were to mention that point, that
mhm.
gives you everything you need to know.
Right, right.
So, you just, you gotta
Check
check
on your
you got
peoples.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's,
Rest in
yeah.
peace to all the beautiful souls, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, with that, Alina, I think we've pretty much given our 2 cents
I
about
think so too. I think so too. We had some good
Yeah.
stuff to say.
Yeah, so, I mean, just do your research, people, like we always say. Uh, Make sure it is what your children want. Not saying that you should enter them into pageants at 8 months old or whatever. I mean, do you?
Yeah.
You're the parent, but just make sure that they're growing up to be individuals and
Mhm.
not a, representation of you as the parent, but as
Right.
themselves. Yeah,
Yeah. Be kind, be careful with your words.
yeah, yeah. Alright, I think we've hit it. I really hope you all enjoyed this episode. I had a
I
great
did
time.
too. I did too.
I really did. So, yeah, leave us a review, a rating, a 5-star rating would be great. Of course, as always, you can follow us on Instagram at Fearless Beauties. You can follow me at Taylor Budgets.
And you can follow me at True Skin Lab. And Mary, right? Shout out Mary,
Woohoo!
your SD godmother.
Yeah,
And that's a wrap. Thank you guys
yeah.
for listening.
Thank you all so much. See you next time.